The sun over Foro Italico in Rome carries a different kind of weight than the breeze in Auckland in the world of professional tennis. Some losses linger. They don't just sit on a win-loss record. They settle in the back of an athlete's mind, fueling the early morning training sessions and the late-night recovery routines. For Alex Eala, the pride of Philippine tennis, the memory of Auckland was a jagged one. It was a match that slipped through her fingers, a battle of margins where the scoreboard didn't necessarily reflect the heart displayed on the court. But today, the narrative of her season, and perhaps her career trajectory, has shifted in a seismic way. We are witnessing more than just a victory in a qualifying round. We are witnessing the maturation of a prodigy into a giant killer. Alex Eala has done the unthinkable. She has stepped onto the red clay of Rome and systematically dismantled a player who, just months ago, seemed to have her number. The headlines will tell you the score, but they won't tell you the story of the grit, the tactical evolution, and the sheer psychological warfare that took place under the Italian sun. This was revenge, yes, but it was also a statement of intent. By stunning Wang Xinyu, a formidable opponent and a Grand Slam doubles champion, Eala has signaled to the WTA circuit that the Auckland Heartbreak was not a ceiling, but a floor. This is a moment of pure, unadulterated triumph for Filipino sports, proving once again that Eala belongs on the biggest stages of sport. The energy in the stadium was electric, a mix of curious European spectators and a vocal contingent of Filipino fans who have followed Eala from her junior Grand Slam titles to this pivotal transition into the professional elite. They knew what was at stake. They remembered the tiebreaks in New Zealand. They remembered the narrow misses. And as the final ball flew long off Wang's racket, the release of tension was palpable. This wasn't just about moving forward in the tournament. It was about moving past a ghost. In the high-stakes environment of the Italian Open, one of the most prestigious stops on the road to Roland Garros, Eala found her rhythm, her range, and most importantly, her resolve. The significance of this one cannot be overstated. Wang Xinyu is not just any opponent. She is a top-tier competitor with the power and experience to overwhelm younger players. Yet, it was Eala who dictated the terms of engagement. It was Eala who refused to be intimidated by the ranking gap. It was Eala who turned the clay of Rome into a stage for her greatest professional masterpiece to date. This performance was a masterclass in resilience, a 700-page novel of athletic struggle condensed into a few hours of breathtaking tennis. As we look at the landscape of the WTA, we see a young woman who has finally translated her immense potential into a result that demands global attention. This is the moment the world stops looking at Alex Eala as a rising star and begins looking at her as a genuine threat. The heartbreak of the past has been washed away by the sweat of the present. And as we dive into the specifics of this incredible upset, we have to recognize that we are watching history in real time. This is a story of a rematch that became a redemption, a technical breakdown of how a left-handed teenager from Manila outthought and outfought one of China's best. To truly understand the magnitude of what happened in Rome, we have to go back to the beginning of the year, to the hard courts of Auckland. That was where the first chapter of this rivalry was written in ink that Alex Eala desperately wanted to erase. In Auckland, the match was a grueling affair, a 3-set marathon that saw Eala pushing Wang Xinyu to the absolute limit. It ended in a heartbreaking tiebreak, a literal handful of points deciding the fate of the match. For a young player like Eala, that kind of loss can be a double-edged sword. It can either break your confidence or it can sharpen your focus. Watching her today in Rome, it is clear she chose the latter. The transition from the hard courts of New Zealand to the slow, grueling clay of Italy is one of the toughest adjustments in tennis. But for Eala, the clay seemed to act as a canvas for her creativity. The tactical shifts she made between Auckland and Rome were evident from the very first game. In their previous encounter, Wang was able to use her superior power to dictate play, forcing Eala into a defensive shell. But in Rome, Eala refused to be pushed back. She stood her ground on the baseline, taking the ball early and using her left-handed angles to pull Wang off the court. The red clay of the Foro Italico is notorious for its high bounces and its ability to reward players who can slide and defend, and Eala looked like she had been playing on the surface her entire life. Her movement was fluid, a testament to the thousands of hours she has put in at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. You could see the influence of that Spanish training in every sliding defensive get and every heavy topspin forehand. The first set was a statement. Eala broke Wang's serve early, putting the pressure squarely on the shoulders of the higher-ranked player. There was a composure in Eala's eyes that we didn't see in the closing moments of the Auckland match. She wasn't just playing the ball. She was playing the person. She identified that Wang was struggling with the depth of her shots, and she exploited it ruthlessly. When Wang tried to increase the pace, Eala absorbed the power and redirected it, a skill that usually takes years of professional experience to master. The 6-3 scoreline in the first set wasn't a fluke. It was a demolition. However, as is the case with all great champions, Wang Xinyu wasn't going to go down without a fight. The second set was a mirror image of the struggle they had in Auckland. It went to a tie-break, and for a moment, the specter of that previous defeat seemed to hang over the court. When Wang took the second set, the momentum shifted. A lesser player would have folded. A player haunted by the what-ifs of January would have looked at the third set as an inevitable repeat of history. But this is where the deep dive into Eala's psyche becomes fascinating. Instead of retreating, she became more aggressive. She recognized that the physical toll of the match was mounting for both players, but she decided she was going to be the one to dictate the energy. The third set was a battle of wills. It was a test of who wanted it more, who had the legs to chase down one more drop shot, and who had the mental fortitude to serve out the big games. Eala's serve, which has been a point of development for her, held up under immense pressure. She wasn't just looking for aces. She was looking for placement, forcing Wang into uncomfortable return positions. The variety in Eala's game was the X factor. She mixed in heavy slices, short angles, and occasional ventures to the net that kept Wang guessing. By the time they reached the business end of the set, the physical fatigue was visible on Wang's face, while Eala seemed to be drawing energy from the crowd. The revenge aspect of this match wasn't about anger. It was about correction. Eala corrected the mistakes she made in Auckland. She stayed patient when she needed to, and she pulled the trigger when the opportunity arose. The final games were a blur of high-quality tennis, with both athletes covering every inch of the clay. But Eala had found an extra gear. When she broke Wang to take the lead in the final set, you could feel the shift in the atmosphere. The Auckland Heartbreak was being systematically replaced by the Rome Renaissance. This wasn't just a win over a top 50 player. It was a win over her own past limitations. She proved that she could not only compete with the best in the world, but that she could beat them in a war of attrition. The statistical profile of the match shows a player who has significantly improved her first serve percentage and her breakpoint conversion rate since the start of the season. But statistics don't capture the roar she let out when the final point was won. They don't capture the look of relief and pride on her coaching staff's faces. This deep dive into the match reveals a player who is no longer satisfied with close calls. Eala has entered a phase of her career where she expects to win these matches, and that shift in mindset is the most dangerous weapon in her arsenal. As the dust settles on the red clay of Rome, the implications of this victory begin to ripple outward. For Eala, this isn't just a singular point of pride. It is a catalyst for what comes next. The tennis world is a momentum-based industry, and right now, Eala is riding a wave that could take her to the very top of the rankings. This win against Wang Xinyu provides her with a massive boost in confidence heading into the remainder of the clay court season, and, looking further ahead, the grass of Wimbledon and the hard courts of the U.S. Open. But more than the points and the prize money, this victory serves as a beacon for an entire nation. In the Philippines, where basketball and boxing have traditionally dominated the sporting landscape, Eala is carving out a permanent space for tennis. She is showing a generation of young Filipino athletes that they can compete on the global stage in a sport that has historically been dominated by Europe and the Americas. This revenge in Rome will be talked about for years as the moment she truly arrived. It was the match where she proved that she could take a heartbreaking loss, analyze it, learn from it, and come back a more complete version of herself. That is the hallmark of a true professional. We have to look at the road ahead for Eala with a renewed sense of optimism. She has shown that she has the variety to succeed on clay, the power to compete on hard courts, and the mental toughness to handle the pressure of a high-stakes rematch. The win in Rome is a building block. It's a foundational stone in what promises to be a legendary career. To all the fans who have been there since her early days at the Australian Open Juniors, this is the validation of your faith. To the casual observers who are just now tuning in, welcome to the Eala era. The journey from the Heartbreak in Auckland to the triumph in Rome is a perfect microcosm of the athletic experience. It's about the lows that make the highs feel that much sweeter. It's about the hours of silence in the gym that lead to the roar of the crowd in an international stadium. As Eala moves forward in the Italian Open, she does so with the knowledge that she has conquered one of her biggest hurdles. She has beaten a world-class opponent, and in doing so, she has beaten the memory of defeat. This is a day for celebration. But for Eala, you can bet she's already thinking about the next match, the next point, and the next opportunity to move up the ladder. The revenge for Auckland is complete, the statement has been made, and the world is officially on notice. Alex Eala is not just a talent to watch. She is a force to be reckoned with. Thank you for joining this deep dive into one of the most significant matches of the year. The story of Philippine tennis is being written right now, one sliding forehand at a time, and the pen is firmly in the hands of Alex Eala. As the sun sets over the Foro Italico, the future of the sport looks brighter than ever, and it's dressed in the blue, red, and yellow of the Philippines. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned, because if this match was any indication, the best is yet to come. The resilience shown today is the stuff of documentaries, and today, we got to see the live premiere. Alex Eala has stunned the world, but for those who know her work ethic, the only surprising thing is that anyone is still surprised. Rome was not built in a day, and neither was Alex Eala's career, but today, she certainly conquered it.